Well, it's August 24th, 2025, and I'm standing out in a food plot. And this is mostly winter rye, although I did also seed with some red clover, but that's a little slower to develop. But you know, that'll persist this year and into next year. And it's gonna add a little more biodiversity, reduce the amount of fertilizer needed and such. But the winter rye is what I really want to talk about today. And what I used to seed this field was what they call bin run. And what bin run is the feed mill has harvested or the farmers have brought in their crops, and they basically clean it up to some extent and bag it and sell it, generally that season. So when I looked at the tag of the bin run, this stuff was harvested, you know, a couple months ago, but you're not going to find things like you typically find on a seed tag. At least in this situation, they didn't run a germ test and things like that. And the other drawback of the bin run is you might end up with a little more duff, you know, or some extra weed seeds because it might not be as clean. But the one benefit of it is it's about half the price. And so, you know, I planted winter rye fairly heavy, and I do like winter rye for a lot of reasons, plus this is sandy soil. But when I planted this or put this seed out, they were calling for rain, actually several days worth of rain, and it didn't happen. But the seed sat in the soil, and when we did finally get a few rains, it's now popped up and it's growing quite well. And actually I think it's going to even fill up even more, because I'm looking around and I can see some seeds that are, you know, on the surface, and some of them are just starting to sprout. And we actually got a little bit of rain yesterday and such. But anyway, so this is a winter rye food plot, and you might be able to see in the background I have a few apple trees actually in the middle of the field. That's an oak. But we do have apples on some of these apple trees, and I got a water hole here. So this is going to be a pretty darn good hunting spot here come this fall, and I'm sure the deer are already using it. And actually I've got a couple other winter rye plots that I'll take you to and just show you. Some of them have a little more clover in it as well, but I've seen deer in those already this year, and I'm sure they're in this one as well. And I would guess if I look around long enough, I could find, you know, signs of them feeding in here. But anyway, so this was bin run winter rye planted, and it's going to provide some great nutrition for the whitetail herd on this property. But again, I've got just another little section of clover here. You can see this one's a little weedier, and again, I've only mowed it once, but it does have some grass in here that you know, if I was really going to get particular, I'd probably come back and use a grass-specific herbicide to get that out. But again, it's still providing deer food while we wait for this winter rye to fill in, and again, more biodiversity. This is the third winter rye plot, and again, there's a little bit of clover in here as well. And you know, it's kind of coming in. There's still some seeds that I can see that are just starting to germinate. So in a few more days, we'll have a lot better growth here. And again, I can always come back and top seed some more winter rye into here. But we've got, you know, about 3/4 of an acre here of winter rye, and there's some white clover. And actually, I put in a little fixation balanza clover in this plot as well. And I'm not seeing that as of yet, but that is an annual clover, and it is very cold tolerant, and, you know, puts out quite a bit of growth and can again reduce the nitrogen needs for this field as well. So my third plot here, this one also has a water hole on it, has some apple trees, but not a lot of apples, and some of my apple trees aren't doing so well this year. It's tough to grow them here in the sand, especially if you're not here to always, you know, take care of them. But anyway, you know, the winter rye is going to be feeding them this fall, and again right away in the spring, and help improve the soil. And with sandy soil, helping to improve that is a benefit of this seed, and one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite crops to plant. I just pulled a small sample of some of the bin run winter rye. It doesn't seem to focus so well, but anyway, as we look at this, you can see, you know, it's not quite as clean as when you're buying, you know, normal winter rye that isn't bin run, but it will get the job done. And again, there could be a few more weed seeds here, but what I'm mostly noticing is there's a little more duff in here, and you know, we got a little piece of corn. Now this container, I've got some winter rye in it, and this isn't bin run, and you can see that there's a lot less duff, or just generally cleaner than the bin run winter rye.